For this recording, I'm going to take another trip down memory lane, relying for the visuals on Google Street View. This time, I'm going to ask you to, once again, start off at the house that I lived, 44 Elgar Avenue, only this time we're going to head east. We'll go along towards the end of Elgar Avenue, stopping for a moment just before we hit Bridle Road, and look at the houses on the left. These houses were built during the 1950s, when it was decided that houses were not going to be built along the left side of Bridle Road. Continue more to the intersection and look to the right. That's pretty much as I remember it. The building that you see, the low building, which is approximately in the between 1 and 2 o'clock position, would be the telephone exchange. The yard at the end was known in my day as Harrison's Yard. Several trucks would park there. We'd have them rolling down the street all the time, but that was about the only noise there. Not many people owned cars in the 50s and early 60s. It was also the site of the annual bonfire on November the 5th, when we remembered / commemorated the capture of Guy Fawkes, one of the conspirators who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. In a future video, I'll talk about my connection with Guy Fawkes. There's a quick plug. But great bonfire. Perhaps it wasn't quite as big as I remembered it, but certainly the embers were still glowing several days afterwards. We'd let off the fireworks, eat the traditional foods of parkin and treacle toffee, and generally have a fun evening. It never seemed, in my memory, to rain on that evening, which is kind of strange considering the English weather, but perhaps memory plays a few tricks on me with that. We'll now take a left onto Bridle Road, and as you turn in there you'll see the playing fields. It's big enough to contain 2 football pitches, 2 cricket pitches, sorry, or 6 football pitches. These were actually put in during the 1950s. Before that it was rough land. I don't remember cows being there, but my parents certainly spoke to me about the cows, and it was because of these cows we had a blackberry semi-fence hedge at the end of the garden, which meant that we were able to have fantastic blackberry jelly every year, homemade of course. The building there is the clubhouse, where the players can change for the game, probably relax afterwards. This was built probably 1970s, 1980s. The part that was strange for me, it was built on a section where there was a oak tree. This is strange because there was a big preservation campaign still going on to preserve the old oaks of England. Ever since the times of the Tudors, oak had been a very valued wood for the build-up of the British Navy, and also forming the black part of the black and white houses that form the Tudor housing. Obviously more for the to-dos than the peasants of the day, but nevertheless it's very much what one thinks of when one thinks of old England. But this oak tree was cut down. I know today there are campaigns still to revive the old oak forests of England. Rather strange that in the 1920s they really started been on a campaign to re-establish the forests of England, but primarily chose pine as the tree. But there are, as I said, slow attempts now to bring in some of the more ancient trees. England, according to the Roman accounts, was very much covered in trees, and from the time of the Romans until the population increases, which came about around the time of the agrarian and industrial revolutions, the population of England never really exceeded 5 million. It would go up a bit, there would be a major war, it would go down. There were several plagues, which of course also reduced the population. But not so much land was in demand for agriculture or living areas. The population of Britain now standing at 60 million, of course, is a big difference, but also there's a lot of imported food. Well, that's the area there of Bridle Road that I remember. But in my day, although it was called a road, it was probably no more than 10 to 12 feet wide, probably cinder based, more reminiscent of the roads of England prior to the introduction of the automobile. And if you zoom out onto the map view, you'll see that it does run parallel to Newchester Road, which is a relatively new road, and would have formed the main road from Eastham to Bromborough. Perhaps another time we'll take a further walk along there with a few more memories. But with that I'll close as you look at the view of the great playing fields, and we'll sign off with that.